before we start, answer me this. What's the tallest grass on the planet? Wheat? Bamboo? Wrong. It's a banana. Yes, that banana you had for breakfast. Mind officially blown, right? Here's the thing. Everything you thought you knew about bananas is a lie. That massive tree in tropical gardens? Not a tree at all. It's a grass plant on steroids. The trunk? Just leaves wrapped so tightly they look like wood. Peel back the layers and there's nothing solid inside. So technically, when you're eating a banana, you're munching on the fruit of the world's most successful grass impersonator. Nature's been trolling us this whole time, but that's just the warm-up. Let me take you somewhere truly wild. Imagine you're standing in the middle of the Sahara Desert. The sun is setting, painting the dunes blood orange. Suddenly you hear it. A low, haunting hum rising from the sand itself. Your heart races. Is it ghosts? Aliens? Ancient spirits trapped beneath the dunes? Nope. It's the sand. Singing. In certain parts of the Sahara, when wind sweeps across the dunes at just the right angle, billions of sand grains vibrate together, creating this otherworldly melody. It can be so loud you'll hear it from miles away. Scientists call it singing sand, but locals have their own stories. Desert nomads believed for centuries that these were voices of jinn, sending warnings from another realm. Even today, standing there listening to the earth literally sing gives you chills. It's like the planet has its own soundtrack, and we're just discovering the playlist. Now, let's rewind. Way back, like really far back. Picture the ocean 400 million years ago. No fish as we know them, no whales, no coral reefs. But guess what was there? Cruising through primordial waters like absolute bosses? Sharks. Yeah, sharks existed before trees even thought about showing up on land. Trees appeared around 350 million years ago, making sharks 50 million years their senior. Let that sink in. Sharks watched the first forests grow. They saw dinosaurs rise and fall. They survived 5 mass extinctions, 5 apocalypses, and they just kept swimming. They're not just predators, they're time travelers, living fossils carrying secrets from an Earth we can barely imagine. Every time you see a shark, you're looking at a design so perfect, evolution said, yeah, we're done here. No notes. And speaking of ancient connections, here's something that'll mess with your head at breakfast tomorrow. That glass of water you're drinking? Those H2O molecules have been around for billions of years, cycling through everything. Oceans, clouds, rivers, plants, animals, and yes, dinosaurs. Statistical probability says that right now, as you take a sip, you're consuming water molecules that once flowed through a Tyrannosaurus rex. You're literally sharing hydration with creatures that vanished 65 million years ago. Water doesn't just sustain life, it carries memory. Every drop is a time capsule, a liquid archive of Earth's entire history. Kind of makes you look at your water bottle differently, doesn't it? But here's where things get really crazy. We think we know our planet, right? Wrong. We've mapped Mars. We've photographed distant galaxies billions of light years away. But our own oceans? We've explored less than 5%. 5%. That means 95% of Earth's oceans are completely unknown territory. We have better maps of the moon's surface than of our ocean floor. Every deep-sea expedition discovers species that look like they're from another planet. Creatures with transparent bodies, bioluminescent lures, jaws that unhinge impossibly wide. Down there in the crushing darkness, life found ways to exist that defy everything we thought we knew about biology. The ocean isn't just Earth's final frontier, it's an alien world right beneath our feet. And ruling those depths? The blue whale. Not just the largest animal alive today, but the largest animal that has ever existed. Bigger than any dinosaur. bigger than anything evolution has ever produced. These 200-ton giants glide through the ocean, singing songs that reach 188 decibels, louder than a jet engine at takeoff. But here's the beautiful part. They're not roaring or screaming. They're communicating. Blue whales can hear each other from 800 kilometers away, creating an underwater network of sound that spans entire ocean basins. While we're up here arguing on social media, whales are having conversations across distances we can barely comprehend, using a language we're only beginning to decode. Nature isn't just amazing. It's operating on a level we're still trying to understand, full of secrets hiding in plain sight, waiting for us to pay attention. Let me ask you something. What's the oldest living creature you've ever seen? A tree? Your neighbor's cat? Wrong. Try 190 years old and he's got a shell. Meet Jonathan, a Galapagos tortoise living on a remote island called St. Helena. This guy hatched around 1832. Let me put that in perspective. When Jonathan was born, Abraham Lincoln was a 23-year-old nobody. The first photograph had just been invented. Steam trains were cutting-edge technology. Jonathan has outlived every single human he's ever met. He's seen the rise and fall of empires, 2 world wars, the invention of cars, planes, computers, smartphones. Right now, he's probably munching grass, completely unbothered by TikTok trends or global politics. While we're having existential crises about turning 30, Jonathan's cruising into his 3rd century like it's nothing. But here's the kicker. In all that time, covering nearly 2 centuries of history, Jonathan has moved maybe a few hundred meters total. He's the ultimate stay-in-your-lane icon. Now let's go from the slowest to the absolute fastest. The peregrine falcon doesn't fly. It falls with style at 390 kilometers per hour. That's faster than a Ferrari, faster than a bullet train, faster than your brain can process what just happened. When this bird locks onto a pigeon, it tucks its wings, becomes a feathered missile, and drops from the sky like a stone wrapped in murder. The impact? Instant. The prey doesn't even see it coming. 1 second you're a pigeon enjoying life, the next you're falcon food. Evolution spent millions of years perfecting this killing machine, and the result is pure, terrifying beauty. If speed kills, the peregrine falcon is a serial offender. But you know what's really insane? We're slower, weaker, and yet we hold some of the wildest records on this planet. Rome, 2012. A group of Italian pizza makers woke up and chose chaos. They decided to create a pizza so massive it required a forklift. The result? 40.5 meters in diameter, 23 tons of cheesy, doughy glory named Atavia. This wasn't a pizza, it was a statement. It took an industrial oven, a construction crew of chefs, and enough mozzarella to bankrupt a dairy farm. When they finished, they cut it into thousands of slices and just gave it away. Imagine standing in that crowd receiving a slice from a pizza the size of a tennis court. That's not lunch, that's a flex. Italy looked at the world and said, "You like pizza? Here's all the pizza." But if you think that's impressive, let's talk about walking 13,000 miles. The Great Wall of China isn't just a wall. It's an 18-month hiking trip if you're crazy enough to attempt it. 18 months of walking, non-stop. No breaks, no rest days, just you, ancient stones, and questionable life choices. This structure snakes across mountains, deserts, and valleys, built over centuries by millions of workers who never saw its completion. And here's the wild part. It was built to keep people out, but now millions travel to it every year. The greatest defense system in history became the world's longest tourist attraction. Irony at its finest. Speaking of things that took forever to build, let's talk about something that took 10 days but felt eternal to chocolate lovers watching. Armenia, 2012. The world's largest chocolate bar. 4,410 kilograms of 70% cocoa perfection. Picture a chocolate slab longer than a bus, wider than a car, and heavy enough to crush your dreams and your diet simultaneously. For 10 days, chocolatiers worked around the clock, pouring, smoothing, waiting for it to set, and then, on chocolate day, they smashed it, broke it into pieces and handed it out like edible confetti. Thousands of people walked away with a chunk of world record history melting in their hands. That's not just generosity, that's legendary. But records aren't always about size. Sometimes they're about lung capacity and pure, ridiculous determination. Bulgaria, 2019. Vasily Ivanov stands in front of 58 lit candles. One breath. That's all he gets. Most of us can barely blow out 10 birthday candles without getting lightheaded, and this absolute madman extinguishes 58 in a single exhale. The crowd watches, holding their breath while he releases his. Whoosh. 58 flames die instantly. It's not climbing Everest. It's not breaking the sound barrier. But it's proof that humans will turn anything into a competition. How many candles can you blow out? Is not a question anyone needed answered, yet here we are, with a world record and a guy with lungs like industrial fans. From a tortoise who's seen centuries pass to a falcon that breaks the sound barrier in a dive, from pizzas that require forklifts to chocolate bars that need construction crews. Records are humanity's way of screaming into the void. We were here. We did something wild, and we have the receipts. But nature and humans breaking records, that's just the surface. Wait until you see what science has been hiding. All right, let's get weird. Science weird. The kind of weird that makes you question if reality is even real. Here's something that'll mess with your head. You can turn sand into glass. Just regular, boring beach sand. Crank up the heat to 1,700 degrees Celsius, and it melts into glowing liquid that cools into perfect transparency. Every window you've ever looked through? Melted sand. Your phone screen? Sand. That wine glass? Sand. Ancient Egyptians discovered this thousands of years ago and basically became alchemists, transforming one of Earth's most worthless materials into treasure. They didn't have chemistry textbooks, just fire and curiosity. Next time you're at the beach, remember, you're walking on billions of potential windows. But chemistry is just the warm-up. Let's talk about something that sounds like witchcraft. Sound can be seen, not metaphorically, literally. There's this experiment called Chladni patterns. Sprinkle sand on a metal plate, hit it with specific sound frequencies, and watch the sand arrange itself into perfect geometric mandalas. Different notes create different designs. A low hum makes simple lines. A high pitch creates intricate snowflakes. Sound isn't invisible. It's been drawing pictures this whole time, and we just weren't paying attention. Every song, every word you speak is sculpting the air into shapes your eyes can't catch. Reality has a hidden visual layer, and science just handed us the glasses to see it. Now, let's leave Earth for a second because space is where things get really unhinged. Mercury. Tiny planet closest to the sun. Looks harmless, right? Wrong. This little speed demon completes a full orbit in just 88 days. It's absolutely tearing through space while we're out here taking 365 days like amateurs. But here's the truly insane part. A single day on Mercury lasts 176 Earth days. Read that again. 1 Mercury day equals 2 Mercury years. The planet orbits the sun twice before it finishes one rotation. Time itself is broken there. If you stood on Mercury watching the sun, it would rise, stop, move backward, then continue forward again. The universe is glitching on Mercury, and nobody talks about it. But if Mercury breaks time, Venus just breaks everything. Picture this: clouds made of sulfuric acid, atmospheric pressure that would crush a submarine, surface temperatures hot enough to melt lead. Venus is literal hell. But here's the kicker: it has rainbows. Well, not rainbows exactly. Glories. Circular, colorful halos created when light bends through those acid clouds. So Venus is a toxic wasteland where it rains acid and the sky puts on a light show that would make any sunset on Earth look boring. The universe has a twisted sense of beauty. And speaking of twisted, let's talk about something living right here on Earth that shouldn't be possible. The immortal jellyfish, Turritopsis dohrnii. This tiny creature discovered the cheat code to life. When it gets old, sick, or injured, it doesn't die. It just reverses. It transforms back into a baby polyp and starts over. Again and again. Forever. Imagine hitting 80 years old and just deciding, I'm going to be 5 again. This jellyfish can theoretically live forever unless something eats it. Scientists are studying it, trying to crack the code, because if a jellyfish figured out immortality, maybe we can too. Death met this jellyfish, and the jellyfish said, "Not today." But my personal favorite science fact? Sharks never get cavities, ever. Why? Their teeth are naturally coated with fluoride, the same chemical we put in toothpaste. Sharks are just born with. They grow thousands of teeth in a lifetime, every single one perfectly armored against decay. No dentists, no brushing, no flossing, just built-in perfection. Meanwhile, humans invented language, built cities, went to the moon, but we still can't figure out how to stop our teeth from rotting without twice daily maintenance. Evolution really looked at sharks and said, "You're good," then looked at us and said, "Figure it out. Science doesn't just explain the world. It reveals that the world is far stranger than we ever imagined. History class lied to you. All those dates, battles, and boring timelines, that's not the real story. The real history is buried in the weird, wild details nobody bothered to teach." Let's start with something that'll rewrite everything you thought you knew about ancient civilizations: the Great Pyramid of Giza. You've seen the pictures. Massive, ancient, mysterious. But here's what they don't tell you. When it was built around 2560 BC, it was covered in smooth, white limestone that reflected sunlight like a giant mirror. The entire structure gleamed so brightly you could see it from mountains miles away. Imagine standing in the desert and seeing this blinding, perfectly smooth mountain of light dominating the horizon. It wasn't just a tomb, it was a beacon, a statement of power visible from space if anyone had been up there to look. Over centuries, earthquakes and looters stripped away the limestone to build Cairo's mosques and buildings. What we see today is just the skeleton. The real pyramid was lost to time. But if ancient Egypt was about spectacle, let's talk about a civilization that turned violence into art. The Roman Colosseum. Everyone knows gladiators fought there. But here's the part they skip in movies. The floor could be flooded. That's right. They'd fill the arena with water and stage full-scale naval battles. Warships, hundreds of fighters, blood mixing with water while 50,000 spectators cheered. They called these nomachii, and they were insanely expensive propaganda stunts. Emperors would flood the Colosseum, import ships, force prisoners and slaves to reenact famous naval victories and let them kill each other for entertainment. Rome didn't just conquer the world, they turned conquest into theater. Death as a spectator sport, history as a show. And if you think that's brutal, wait until you hear what they did with lions. Roman emperors didn't just throw Christians to lions for execution. They staged elaborate hunts called venationes, where exotic animals from across the empire, lions, tigers, bears, elephants, even rhinos, were slaughtered by the thousands in a single day. The Colosseum's inaugural games in 80 AD killed an estimated 9,000 animals over 100 days. 9,000 animals. Species were hunted to extinction for entertainment. North African elephants, gone. Caspian tigers, extinct. The Romans didn't just write history, they erased entire ecosystems for applause. That's not civilization, that's organized madness. Now let's flip to something equally insane, but in a completely different way. The Library of Alexandria. The greatest collection of knowledge in the ancient world. Scholars traveled from across the Mediterranean to study there. But here's the wild part. If you arrived in Alexandria by ship carrying any scrolls or books, guards would confiscate them. Not to ban them, to copy them. They'd take your originals, have scribes make duplicates, then give you the copy and keep the original for the library. Imagine landing in a city and they just legally steal your books, hand you a knockoff and say, "Thanks for contributing to human knowledge." It was intellectual piracy on a state level, and it's how Alexandria became the center of the ancient world. Knowledge wasn't requested, it was seized. But not all history is about empires and monuments. Some of it is beautifully, strangely human. In Japan, there's a tradition called hanami, where people gather to watch cherry blossoms bloom. Sounds peaceful, right? It is. But here's the thing. Cherry blossoms only last about a week. 1 week of perfect pink beauty, then they fall. For over 1,000 years, Japanese culture has built festivals, poetry, entire philosophies around this fleeting moment. It's called mono no aware, the bittersweet awareness of impermanence. The blossoms are beautiful because they don't last. Life is precious because it ends. While the West built pyramids and colosseums to defy time, Japan celebrated the beauty of letting go. Two completely opposite philosophies, both trying to answer the same question. What do we do with the time we have? And speaking of time, here's something that'll completely shatter your perception of history. Cleopatra lived closer to the iPhone than to the construction of the Great Pyramid. The pyramid was built around 2560 BC. Cleopatra died in 30 BC. That's a 2,530-year gap. The iPhone was released in 2007, just 2,037 years after Cleopatra. Cleopatra is ancient Egypt in our minds, but to her, the pyramids were ancient history. She was closer to us, scrolling through social media, than to the workers who built those limestone giants. Time is a lie. History is layered. And everything you think you know is probably wrong. Here's another one. Oxford University is older than the Aztec Empire. Oxford started teaching students around 1096. The Aztec capital of Tenochtitlan was founded in 1325. English scholars were debating philosophy 230 years before the Aztecs built their first pyramid. We think of universities as modern and ancient civilizations as old, but they existed simultaneously. The timeline of human history isn't a neat sequence. It's chaos happening all at once in different corners of the world. History isn't a straight line. It's a tangled mess of brilliance, brutality, beauty, and mind-bending coincidences. And we're still writing it,